What's going on, you guys? It is your boy, the American F1 fan, Eric Ringle here, and today I am reacting. WatchMojo has put out a video of 10 of the worst crashes in Formula One history. So I'm here to check out their list and see, is this really the 10 worst crashes we've ever had in Formula One, or are there some that we would add to the list more than others? So let's get on into this video, and let's react to the top 10 worst crashes in Formula One history.
And the roll hoop and the halo,
this was
very much doing its
absolutely
job
by far the worst.
You do not ever
one of the worst I've seen in a while.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're looking at the 10 worst crashes in F1 history.
Big fire there as they exited out of
that one gives me the heebie-jeebies every time.
Indeed, and unsurprisingly, that is a red flag.
For this list, we're looking at the most devastating crashes to take place in F1. Sadly, because some of these crashes resulted in deaths, a content warning is now in effect.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it as well, because they've said that there may be death involved because of some of these crashes. Viewer discretion is advised, so watch this at your own peril, because we will be watching and reacting along with you. Thank you to Formula One and FOM management to allow me to react to this video, so thank you already.
Which of these crashes had you covering your eyes? Be sure to let us know in the comments. Lorenzo Bandini at the 1967 Monaco Grand Prix. At the 1967 Monaco Grand Prix, Lorenzo Bandini was trailing in second place behind Denny Hulme when he lost control of the vehicle and crashed.
Now Bandini. Bandini's crashed.
Good Lord, look at that.
The car.
Wait, so when Monaco was first being run, there weren't the barriers around Monaco that we see today. And, I mean, this was just an absolute... I've seen this video numerous times and watching all these different Formula One, like, crash videos and whatnot. So this is definitely... I would definitely consider this on the list. I mean, just from the fireball you guys can see here, I mean, it was brutal.
It looks like it's upside down, Phil.
The car flipped, and its fuel tank broke, which resulted in the car bursting into flames. Marshall struggled with rescuing Bandini as the flames constantly grew and made the task all the more difficult. Although Bandini was eventually pulled out of the vehicle, he had still sustained third-degree burns. He was taken to the hospital, but sadly, he passed away 3 days later. He was 31 years of age.
Only 31 years old. Jeez. Probably, and from everything that I've heard about Bandini, I mean, he had a career still ahead of him in Formula One, especially at that time. You could be a little bit older and run Formula One pretty well.
Gilles Villeneuve, the 1982 Belgian Grand Prix. Near the end of the qualifier session of this edition of the Belgian Grand Prix, Gilles Villeneuve aimed to improve his position and lap time, so he attempted to cut another racer. There was clearly confusion as to which side he should complete the maneuver. He went right and hit the vehicle he attempted to pass. Villeneuve's car flipped several times.
This video is extremely hard. I'm going to let you guys know this video will be extremely hard to watch. I've luckily paused it at a better time than when I could have. This is... Because if you hear the descriptions to this crash, like, it is, like, I've heard the descriptions of this, and this crash threw him out of the vehicle. Like, that's how bad this crash was. Like, it's unfathomable now to think that a Formula One driver could be, thrown from their vehicle with all the safety measures now in place. But back then... I mean, if you watch a lot of the old Formula One videos, their bodies set quite a ways out of the car, and this was stuff that would happen.
And the subsequent impact was so devastating, it resulted in Villeneuve being launched out of the vehicle. He was rushed to the hospital, but hours later it was announced that he had passed away. Jules Bianchi, the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix.
Such a promising promising young career. Such a promising young career for this man. It is so sad that this got cut short.
In F1 races, one crash often leads to another, but none have been under such unusual circumstances. During a lap of this race, as a result of weather conditions, Sauber's Adrian Sutil would go off the track and hit a wall. A crane was used by marshals to remove.
Yeah, I am not. If the video continues, I am not going to show this because this is probably one of the I would have probably ranked this number one. This one's hard. I'm not going to lie. This one's hard to watch, so I may blur the screen if they do show, excuse me, if they show what is going to happen. I will blur the screen because this one I felt like should have been number one, and this one's really hard to watch.
The vehicle. During the removal process, Marussia's Jules Bianchi wound up driving directly into the crane.
Oh my God.
He was unconscious and was subsequently placed in intensive care. He later passed away as a result of the head injuries he sustained during the accident.
He will be much missed in the Formula One paddock.
Ronnie Peterson.
And he still is to this
The
day.
1978 Italian Grand Prix. Crashing the vehicle he was meant to drive at the race during a practice session, Team Lotus's Ronnie Peterson was forced to drive an older model instead. Along with his vehicle facing technical difficulties, the main race began as the flag was dropped before all the cars were in their respective positions.
You know what? I've heard this story before. This was weird.
The error resulted in Peterson's vehicle colliding with a McLaren driven by James Hunt. Peterson's Lotus would then.
What's so amazing is back then how just horrific the crashes looked, you know, because of the easily breakable fuel tanks that they had back then. Like, to see that, oh man, like that's like the crashes looked so much worse back then.
Hit a barrier and burst into flames. Hunt and several crew members were able to get Peterson out of the vehicle, and he was rushed to the hospital. The next morning, Peterson was pronounced dead as a result of a fat embolism. Romain Grosjean, the 2020 Bahrain Grand Prix.
One of the most recent ones. This is...
During the first lap of this race,
I'm telling you, the safety crews and Roman, I mean, just amazing. The safety structures now. You see the halo on the screen. I'll kind of show you with my mouse a little bit here. This halo saved his life in this wreck. It could have also kind of taken his life the way he ran into the barriers, but like this saved his life right here.
Romain Grosjean's vehicle clipped Daniel Kvyat's AlphaTauri's left front wheel. Grosjean's car was sent reeling and crashed into a metal barrier. It was sliced in half and caught on fire.
That's extraordinary. Yeah.
It's just the car.
It's gone through the barrier, you see. The car's gone through the barrier.
Despite all odds, Grosjean was able to remove his race boot, escape the vehicle, and ultimately save himself.
Thank God.
Surprisingly, he left relatively unscathed, having only suffered minor burns and spraining his left ankle.
So
Having been
amazing.
inside the vehicle a mere 28 seconds after the crash had occurred, it is truly a miracle that he survived and was able to escape an almost certain fate.
I thought about my kids and I said, no, I cannot die today.
Alberto Ascari, the 1955 Monaco Grand Prix. Trailing behind...
Now, I was mentioning before, like, you can see how he's sitting where a lot of his upper body is not, like, his head is very wide, out in the wide open, and, you know, a lot of his body is not protected like it is now in Formula One.
Sterling Moss in this race for the lead. Alberto Ascari was in luck when the engine of Moss's Mercedes broke down. The opportunity to take the lead, however, was missed, as Ascari's vehicle swerved out of control, crashed through a barrier, and directly into the Mediterranean Sea.
Ascari has overshot the chicane.
I forgot about this one.
The car sank, but fans breathed a sigh of relief when Ascari appeared on the surface. He was subsequently rescued and hauled out of the water.
So lucky. So lucky.
Where an ambulance is waiting.
Despite the harsh nature of the crash, Ascari came out of the whole ordeal with a broken nose and some bruises.
That is impressive that that's literally all he ended up with was a broken nose and some scratches like that.
The 1961 Italian Grand Prix. On the second lap of the Italian Grand Prix race in 1961,
This is one of the worst ones because it just that video alone, just seeing a car flipping like that.
Came in contact with one another. While one of the cars, driven by Jim Clark, came to a halt, the other, driven by Wolfgang von Trips, was spinning out of control and struck a section of spectators.
Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. Struck spectators? Oh, my God.
Von Trips was thrown out of the vehicle and did not survive the accident. Despite this horrific sequence of events, the race continued, and Von Tripp's teammate, Phil Hill, went on to win the race.
Wow.
Some drivers only became aware of the crash and its severity after the race, leaving many to question why it had not been stopped. Niki Lauda, the 1976 German...
This man is a frickin' legend. Niki Lauda is a frickin' legend just for this alone.
One of the greatest and biggest stars to ever get behind the wheel. This Austrian legend was involved in one of the most horrific accidents in F1 history. During the second lap of the race, out of nowhere, Lauda's car swerved out of control and caught on fire. Several drivers and staff assisted in pulling Lauda out of the vehicle.
This is the coolest thing, is to see that other drivers helped him and saved him.
And the initial prognosis was that he had little chance of survival. The nature of his injuries was such that a priest was called to administer the last rites.
Even though he was
Go watch the movie Rush. It is about Niki Lauda versus James Hunt, and this is probably one of the main storyline to that movie. You got to go see Rush. It'll talk a lot about this particular incident in general.
Condition and went into a coma. Lauda remarkably survived the ordeal and would make an incredible comeback after 6 weeks, and he later went on to win 2 more world titles.
Yep.
Ronnie Ratzenberger, the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix.
Roland Ratzenberger. Now, this is one of those ones that it didn't happen in a race, that it happened in, I believe they'll tell us, but I believe it was practice, or was it? I don't remember.
The conclusion of this afternoon's final qualifying session for tomorrow's San Marino Grand Prix. I sadly have to report that the news is bad.
During a qualifying session of the San Marino Grand Prix in 1994,
MTV was a sponsor.
This 31-year-old's vehicle had gotten detached. The car subsequently went off the track and slammed directly into a barrier. Ratzenberger had suffered a skull fracture so severe, he was pronounced dead shortly after medical staff arrived at the site of the crash.
It was the first time that we have to face a dead Formula One driver for...
And there's Niki Lauda watching this.
The whole atmosphere was very heavy that afternoon, and everybody was thinking about what are we doing here, or what's the point,
Worst of all, many believed the tragedy could have been prevented, as Ratzenberger was aware of the issue with his vehicle, but opted to complete another lap instead. Unfortunately, this wouldn't be the last tragedy to take place at the 1994 Grand Prix in San Marino.
Oh, God,
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell.
Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button on my channel. Go down there and hit the subscribe button. We're going to be doing more and more reaction videos. So subscribe.
You have
subscribe
the option
to the American
be notified
F1
for
fan.
occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Zip it.
Ayrton Senna, the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix.
Senna! My goodness! I just saw him plunge off to the right. What on earth happened there?
Wow.
On lap 7 of the main race, Brazilian and 3-time champ Ayrton Senna had taken a comfortable lead over Benetton's Michael Schumacher. At one point coming up on the corner, he attempted to make a turn, only for his vehicle to skid off the track and crash into a wall. The accident was
There's so many conflicting, you've got so many different videos out there, trying to explain what happened and that, this and this happened. No one really knows. No one, I think, has the general idea of what really happened that day that killed Senna in this crash.
So devastating, the car's front wheel and nose were torn off.
Ayrton ran out of luck. He did not have a broken bone in his body.
And I don't think they'll cover in this video, but another interesting thing is the Murray Walker, who we saw at the very beginning of this, when they were talking about Roland Ratzenberger, he had talked to, or there was somebody that had talked to Senna the day before when Ratzenberger had passed away, and like Ayrton was like, I don't know if I don't know if I want to race, and like it was one of those like eerie, like it almost feels like when you hear that story and that like the person like told Ayrton Senna to, you know, basically do what he loves doing and being in the race car, like you feel like Ayrton Senna knew something was coming, like he knew something bad was going to happen, and you know, hearing that story, it's so eerie to hear.
He did not have any bruising. If that piece of assembly would have gone 6 inches higher or 6 inches lower, he would have walked back to the paddock.
Although he was pulled out of the vehicle, he was in critical condition, and despite receiving medical treatment, it was to no avail, and he passed away later that evening.
Man, such a legend, another legend of the sport.
2 steps better than everyone else.
Did you enjoy this video?
Oh my God. Like, I don't know how to be upbeat after that video. Like, a lot of those crashes involved, unfortunately, death, and it's so heartbreaking to see certain people's lives getting taken, you know, so soon, like Jules Bianchi. But you see the success stories like Romain Grosjean, who, you know, for all intents and purposes, should have been dead in Bahrain, but because of the safety features that Formula One have put into place, he was able to survive, and he's thriving in IndyCar now. Like, that's amazing. But guys, let me know in the comment section down below what you think the worst crash out of those 10 that they've listed for us. Let me know what you guys think, what the worst crash is in the comment section down below. Guys, slap a like on this video. Also, comment down in the comment section down below. What other videos would you guys like me to react to? Formula One videos would you guys like me to react to? So let me know in the comment section down below. Slap a like on this video. You know you want to. Hit that little thumbs up button. Slap it now. And then also, guys, subscribe if you guys are new to my channel for more daily and weekly Formula One content. So much more Formula One content on the way, guys. But for the American F1 fan, I'm Eric Ringel, signing off.